Here's an eye-opening statistic. Nearly 90% of those with sleep apnea go undiagnosed and untreated. Dr. Joseph Golish is here with a wake-up call for those who have pulled the covers over their heads. Dr. Golish is a nationally known expert with the Center for Sleep Medicine at Metro Health. Thanks for joining us, Doctor.
Thank you very much, Armin. Pleasure to be here.
And you were featured, I'm pleased to say, in an article in USA Today. You were talking about sleep apnea, how it's just abounding in our bedrooms. So if so many people have it, what's keeping them from discovering it and treating it?
It is true that about 90% of patients aren't diagnosed or treated. And to put it bluntly, it's our traditional approach to sleep apnea, suspects that is, it's very, doesn't sit well with many of us. The testing and the treatments are a hassle. Well, and we're Americans, and we don't want hassles. So we like things simple, efficient, direct, and that's been a problem for the last several decades.
So to discover it historically, you have to go to to a sleep lab.
Yeah, and it used to be very much a clinical setting. Now those are more like your own bedroom at home, but still it's in a foreign place. You're being watched on a videotape. There are numerous wires, including lots of electrodes placed on the scalp to get brain waves.
How do you sleep like that?
Well, there is something called first night effect, meaning people don't sleep well the first night in the lab.
This is the treatment. Again, I don't know how people sleep with that, but that's the CPAP machine?
Yeah, and that's why a lot of people who pretty much know they have sleep apnea don't bother getting tested, because they know that very likely that CPAP may be the end game. And the idea of that is something they aren't willing to live with.
And there are real dangers, though, if we don't treat sleep apnea, right? I mean, health dangers.
Yes, and that's the information about that has increased exponentially in the last several decades. And clearly it causes heart trouble, it causes strokes, heart failure, diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterol, problems with our thinking, our memory, and also stress. It increases anxiety, depression in people.
All right, so new options. This is what's exciting to me. You're going to tell us that there's some new options available out there.
Yes, there's been a big move in the last couple of years towards home sleep testing, which is really just an abbreviated version of that elaborate in-lab test, but it omits the electroencephalogram, the EEG with all those electrodes on the brain, and it's something a person can hook up themselves. They put a little cannula in their nostrils. It's like an oxygen delivery device, but that's not what it's there for. It's there to sense breathing. A strap goes around the chest, and then a little oximeter goes on the fingertip. So you can see that looks a whole lot different than the elaborate system.
Right,
plus, so it's in your own bed.
And that's analyzing it, diagnosing it. Now, treating it, you also have some new options.
Yes. The problem with CPAP is that as many as 80% of patients who go as far as getting the device don't actually use it faithfully. In fact, insurers are now starting to take those devices away from people if they're not using them enough to make them safe from their apnea.
So what's the new treatments?
Well, I think there are three different alternatives that have the big advantage is that people pretty much always use them, as opposed to that 80% of non-use with CPAP. It's more like 95% use with these devices. And there are, I think, three that are worth talking about.
All right, so what's this we're looking at?
This is called ProVent. What it is, a little patch that one puts on each nostril at bedtime. It has a valve in the center. It's like a one-way valve. So it's easy for the person to breathe in through the nose, but when they go to breathe out, it produces a back pressure.
All right,
and that back pressure keeps the throat open. You become your own CPAP machine.
And this is different now. This
one just came out last year, the ProVent maybe 2 years ago. This is called the Winx machine, which is about the size of a water pick generator with a little tube coming out of it like a water pick.
And this last one looks like a mouth guard.
Yeah, well, the Winx has a mouth guard too, but what it does, instead of pushing air in, it produces suction and pulls the soft palate forward and opens the throat that way. The mouth guards have been around a long time, but the problem is those infomercial ones you see on TV don't do enough to treat the apnea. They may help snoring, but the big advantage, this device just came out 2 weeks ago. There's a version that can be done right in the office within about an hour, instead of taking impressions, send them to a lab. So the advantage is it can be settled very quickly.
Well, it's exciting that there's so much new out there, and I appreciate your bringing this information to us, Doctor. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
If you suffer from sleep apnea, you know a good night's sleep would be a dream come true, and now it can be thanks to the exciting new testing and treatment options that are available. My thanks to Dr. Golish for opening our eyes and our breathing to these alternatives. And to learn more, use the information coming up next.
Find out more by calling Metro Health at 216-778-7800 or visit www.metrohealth.org. Want more Metro Health medical information? Be sure to tune in to WTAM 1100 each Saturday morning at 7 for Metro Health and You, hosted by Dr. Christine Alexander. Next, risky business?